What is Yellow doing right now? He's clicking
I
his
think
buttons.
it's behind the scenes now.
All right, everybody. Welcome in to the Meme Factory podcast. Robber. We've got Denver Bitcoin tonight. Adam Ortolf, a great person in the space, super knowledgeable about Bitcoin mining. As you can see, he's got a Bitcoin miner behind him, and that is all the proof you need. Adam, if you can introduce yourself, give everybody a little bit of information about who you are and what you do, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, as said, I'm Adam Ortolf. My current role right now is I'm the kind of a business development head for the US for a company called Upstream Data, and we build portable Bitcoin mines and engines for the oil field. So pretty much all day, every day, I'm on the phone with oil and gas producers, petroleum engineers, on-site engineers, talking with them and scaling Bitcoin mining projects so that they can, maximize their hydrocarbon revenue. So pretty simply, it's just a matter of combusting natural gas, generating electricity, mining Bitcoin right there on site. And so it's just another means by which for them to bring their gas to market. And we build them the infrastructure, kind of hold their hand, get them set up with mining pools and walk through the kind of the trade-off decisions there. So that's my position right now. I love it. It's awesome. I also work with, a company called Coinbase where I just do some consulting for Bitcoin mining. And so this is a way for me to raise some money for Bitcoin core devs and such. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do all day, every day is Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin everything, Bitcoin ASICs, constantly repricing the market because when Bitcoin's price moves, these machines are in something different. And so, constantly have to get updated quotes and, make sure that money that's flowing through, there's not this volatility that leaves people wrecked. So it's a wild game. I mean, certainly recently it's been insane.
I didn't realize you were doing any work with Coinbase. What kind of contributions are you making to the core devs? That's awesome.
Yeah, so with Coinbase, I just do one-on-one consulting. So there's a lot of guys in my DMs that, they're not like an oil field, situation where I'm not really going to be selling them an Upstream Data product, but they just want to pick my brain as somebody who's mined before and see if they could get into mining personally, like at home, just at a small scale or something. And so they really just want to ask questions that they can't Google, because you get to a point where you Google a lot of information, but you need to kind of know, you want to talk to somebody that's done it and get some nuance. And so I charge a little bit of money to meet one-on-one, via Zoom with guys. And then I donate that to Bitcoin core devs. So just a way for me to help out, help educate those who are interested. Putting a dollar price on it's kind of nice because it weeds out the people that were going to waste my time. Right. So it's if someone's going to actually mine Bitcoin though, they're probably going to spend at least a few $1,000s, to spend $50, $100 to talk to somebody usually isn't much at all. It's a drop in the hat. And so, it's just a matter of what I think is a way to help. And Coinbase is just they're a Bitcoin education platform. So they do reviews on wallets and exchanges and they write blogs. Bitcoin only focused education, I guess, is their mantra. So yeah, that's something I just do kind of, part-time and on the side to connect with awesome plebs that are looking to mine because I'm doing this stuff too and I nerd out about it. So I love it. It's hardly work.
Man, that's awesome to hear. I didn't know that about you. I am stoked to learn that you're donating back to the devs. That's freaking awesome. And
yeah, of course, man.
Yeah, so in the vein of putting a price on something, there's no price on this podcast, right? So and I don't mean it's worth a lot. I mean it's worth shit. All right, there's nothing here. Nobody's. We have to scrounge for sponsors. I can't even get Crypto Cloaks to throw me some money. I work for Strike. They won't sponsor us. It's complete bullshit.
You can't even get Rick.
Can't get Rick. Can't get anything.
Buy a couple of fucking node cases and tell them to sponsor the show.
We can't even get the whole meme factory.
No, I can't even get the whole meme factory to show. So one of the workarounds we found is that we secure sponsors based on our guests, as long as we say that the guests are able to read the ad copy. So what I've done is I've sent you the ad copy in your DMs, and I would really appreciate if you could just go ahead and read it, because otherwise we're not making any money at all. No core dev money, no Pedro money, no Yellow money.
Oh my God, no freaking! Is this a true sponsor of the show?
Absolutely.
This is the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
have you ever seen Joe Rogan early episodes where he was some of the sponsors were really raunchy stuff? That's how we get paid.
Yeah.
No.
No shame.
I'm just sitting here just dying laughing at this sponsor. So just for the record.
Thank you.
You know what's, but this is the fucked up thing is you guys are trapping me, right? Because you're sitting me in a place,
Yes.
making me read a paragraph, and then you can just chop that paragraph up and make me say whatever you want to say, and then I'm toast.
No. I promise we won't chop the
We are
paragraph.
trapping you. You have the guns, man.
So this episode of the Meme Factory podcast is brought to you by Astroglide dual purpose mining fluid. When you're mining Bitcoin out there in the oil fields of Texas in that hot summer sun, you need to keep your miners cool. It makes sense to fully submerge your machine. Really get them in there, all the way in there. Just coat your rig from top to bottom in our dielectric fluid and slam that baby home. When you're turning electricity into sweet, sweet sats, your S19s are going to be the only things hot and bothered. But don't worry, Astroglide dual purpose mining fluid has you covered, literally. Use the promo code SLIDEIN for 10% off of your first order, as well as a free dildo along with your package. Astroglide, the smoothest in the game.
That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Adam.
Yeah, let me know how they like that one. I mean, I can do a reread.
Yeah.
Now we can get paid.
Now we can get paid.
Finally.
All right.
Sats.
Look, I am super interested. You and Steve have been working on this black box project that I can't get enough of. I see it in your feed. Yes. What's going on with the black box? What is it? How close are we to a production model? What's going on?
Yeah, so this is fun because I think if you ask Steve the same question, you'd get a very different answer than what you're going to get from me. What the black box is to me, I mean, I've been begging Steve since I first called him in like 2018 to build me what I called a backyard hash hut, right? Because at the time he was coming out with the hash hut product line. And I was like, could you build me one that's like for my backyard that's like maybe not like 50 kilowatts, like maybe it's only like 20,000 watts, 15,000 watts. Like I could put, 10, 12 S9s or something in there. And obviously he was trying to get his business up and running, get his product lines for the oil field, buttoned up and polished up. And so he like had no time to focus on backyard mining hut. But of late, since we've, buttoned up our products and there, seem to be a lot more of a demand, plus these new freaking ASICs are so powerful, right? Like one S19 J Pro, one WhatsMiner is like 6 or 8 of the older S9s. And so what we built here is what Steve designed here is just pretty much a pretty basic box, right? It has no moving parts, no electrical built out in it. And it's just an all-weather sealed, really, nice material box that you can drop an S19 or 2 S9s in. It'll kill the sound. It cuts the sound in about half, takes it down from about 75 decibels to down to about 40.
If I could interject on the decibels, what is that in real terms? Can you like equate that to a hairdryer or what?
Like that's like a hairdryer is like 80 decibels. Like a hairdryer is like what an S9 is with, or one of these ASICs is like without any, sound dampening. 40 is more like maybe when your air conditioner kicks on outside your house, like would be more, or like maybe an engine idling, like a car, internal combustion engine, like freaking Honda Civic idling. Like it's not, if you're close to it, like you can notice the sound, but honestly 15, 20 yards, like you probably lose it. And so, it's not terrible. It's certainly manageable for like, you could set it next to your house and even have neighbors that are pretty close by and it probably won't bother them, right? Because it's just like this very light humming. And so, and also it has some filter on the intake, right? So there's like a little intake screen where you can replace a filter. And then obviously, where the exhaust is. And so it's just something where like, we know there's a lot of guys out there that could do it themselves for a lot cheaper than what we're going to be able to sell this thing for. But we know there's a lot of guys out there that don't have the time, like to do it themselves and actually like go build a box. And so they'd rather just like spend some money and have one delivered. So what we did was we open sourced the design. So if anybody wants to build it themselves, if you are a do-it-yourselfer, you're welcome to use our design. And, we have pretty much guaranteed performance if you, build to the spec. And honestly, you could build it a lot cheaper than what we're going to sell it for if you used something like, wood or something, right? If you use like some plywood out of that as the material rather than this like nice metal material that we're going to use. And so you could probably do it yourself for cheaper, and we're happy to give you the design to do that. Obviously, if you want to go sell your own, we don't do that. We can license the design to you maybe if you're wanting to go commercial with it. But certainly if you want to build it for yourself, like, let me know. We'll give you the design. But yeah, that's going to release. Honestly, it was supposed to release, I think, here like in the last week or two. And I've got right now, I think I've got a list of like over 550 people that are waiting to get a box ordered. And so it's like a lot bigger demand than I actually thought initially. Like I thought it was gonna be a little bit more niche than I think it's gonna end up being. Like there's a lot of people that want to have an S19 run at their house, right? So you'd still need to get like a certified electrician out to your house. You'd still want to, like give them, like show them what you want to do and make sure that you have the proper power, get the proper power cords and stuff. Like this isn't, a plug and play super easy, but it's something where you could set it outside. It could rain and snow on it. You don't have to worry about your miner getting hurt. It's not gonna, even if it were somehow to catch fire, which this is built out of very, non-flammable material. But if it somehow were, it would be contained at least to the box, right? Ideally. And so that way, if it was, set outside, like, a couple feet away from any other structure, you would have the fire contained right there. Like, so it's just a means by which to mitigate any possible disaster. So I'm excited. I can't wait to sell it. I can't wait till it's real. I'm going to buy probably 2 of them.
I got a couple questions on this. Is the design available already, or is it something that you're going to release?
I think Steve already released the design on Twitter. He tweeted it out and showed, I think, some of the dimensions, or he put a link to where you could go check it out. You should look at his Twitter page. I'll see if I can find it.
I'll go check out his feed. And then the other thing is, the other question is, you mentioned that you guys had a timeline. Is there a timeline for this?
Yeah, it's pretty damn soon. Like we're finalizing
tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully, right? We're finalizing, like, so the way, because we're up in Canada, keep in mind, right? So we're in Alberta, and so we understand a lot of our interest is going to be from the US, and so shipping to the US would add like $500 cost per unit. Whoa. If we were going to ship from our shop, like cost to us per unit.
I showed that video to my wife, the one that Steve Barber has pinned on his profile right now.
Yeah.
We're running a couple of What's Miners in the basement right now, so she can't wait.
Yeah, she can't wait until because that'll kill it. Like that'll make it. It'll drop the sound like by a ton. But like I think the release, like because of the shipping aspect, we're gonna partner up with a couple distributors, I think, for like US, Canada kind of stuff, and that way we're gonna be able to offer it at a better price, and then we can ship like truckloads to a distributor, right, at a very low cost per unit, and that way the consumer doesn't have to absorb some crazy shipping cost, because these are like, it's like a big crate, and so like if you go to like retail, UPS or FedEx, they want like $400 just to ship the fucking thing, and so we're solving some of that kind of nuanced bullshit to make sure that we can bring these to market in a way that's like, people are going to be able to get their freaking stuff for a price that works, rather than if they're charging like some crazy number for just a box.
So what I understand is it'll be ready. The timeline is it'll be ready before Strike Europe. That's
yes, I would imagine.
Shut up, Sean.
I think we're gonna beat Strike Europe. We're gonna beat Strike Europe, I think.
Yeah, hyper Bitcoinization is gonna happen before Strike Europe.
How do I mute him?
Hashtag.
How do I mute him?
What happens before Strike Europe? Everything.
Quantum computing.
Fuck you, Sean.
Anyway,
Michael,
I have a question
before Strike Europe.
I have a question for Adam.
Yeah, of course.
So I saw a tweet of yours, I think from yesterday. It reads, "Folks, let me tell you, you have absolutely no idea how big Bitcoin mining is gonna be. This industry is gonna to become so big, so loud, so influential that it make everyone on the earth realize that Bitcoin mining is Bitcoin. Unforgeable, something else. I cannot read. So the thing that struck me, and you end like a part of it, like saying Bitcoin mining is Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
That's how I feel. Right.
Yeah. I mean, what do you mean by that? And like,
yeah,
without like repeating stuff you have said probably 1,000 times, simple terms, like why?
Right. Because it's the backbone, right? Like without an open and competitive way for anybody to compete for the new money supply, this Bitcoin is just as fucking broken as central banks, right? If only experts and only, you know, somebody who's a special elected official or an appointed official, even worse, if only they can participate in new money, right? The new money that comes into the market, well, then Bitcoin's just as fucking broken as anything else. That's why I love the idea of like plebs mining at home, is because I think, listen, like for the first time ever, it's actually realistic for an individual like me or you guys to participate in the new money supply. Like we will be very, very, you know, minuscule competitors, but we get to compete. I can actually plug in a fucking machine in my house and I can get very, very small fractions of that new money supply right when it becomes available, right when the fucking block gets found. Like I get to be the guy that gets the first part of the Bitcoin, right? Like me, some dumbass in Colorado. And so like without that, Bitcoin is shit to me. It's like, it's worthless, right? And so for me, it's like this backbone of all the others, like all the financial characteristics of Bitcoin, the, you know, the immutability, those kinds of things, they all fall back on the principles that arrive from proof of work mining, right? From proof of work consensus, I guess.
There's been a lot of noise.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of noise recently on Twitter about Compass mining, and most recently, some of the threads are out there about how they're sending out all these emails saying that ASICs are getting delayed or whatever, and people are up in arms about all the money they put into it that they're not seeing any returns on anytime soon. How do you guys deal with the ASIC shortage?
We haven't had much of an issue. So one thing that's cool at Upstream Data is we deploy more S9s probably than anybody else. And so, because if you look at the economics in the oil field, you look at the economics of certainly of flare and vent gas. When you have if I were to say you were a miner and you stumbled upon like a dam, right? And there was a little plug right there, and you could plug in a miner, okay, or you could plug in, a conglomeration of miners, and your power cost was truly free. Like you weren't paying for it. Like it was like nothing, right? It's like that's how you felt about it. It was truly free. Well, then, if that's the case, and you look at investing money into miners, what you find is the S9s, you get more bang for your buck. You get more terahashes for your dollar, right? So like if I wanted 1,000 terahashes, the cheapest way to get to 1,000 terahashes is buying S9s, right? I have to buy a lot of them. I have to buy like 65 of them. But they're only $500 a piece. So 65 of them, $500 a piece. Okay, I'm at 30 something grand, right? For a petahash. If I buy new machines, I need 10 of these new machines that are 12 grand each, right? And so I'm spending 120 grand for the same 1,000 terahashes per second. And so when you look at like having free and abundant power, like in the oil field, the S9s are like, certainly for a proof of concept for our first Bitcoin mine, you know, the first time these oil guys are investing in this magic internet money, like the S9s make sense. And then obviously they deploy the S9s, and a lot of times they get excited and they call back and they want to upgrade their computers, right? Because like they're comfortable running them, and now they want to really press their advantage and maximize. But like I'm pushing a lot of S9s. Honestly, I have great suppliers for new stuff too. I've got guys across the ocean. I've got guys here in the US. I'm honestly like haven't had much issues getting S9s. We've had more of a hard time getting things like PDUs for our Hashrate builds, right? Like getting PDUs built and fans, like shop fans. Like the turnaround on shop fans went from like 2 weeks to like 31 weeks, you know, from like every supplier on earth all of a sudden. And this is because like COVID and global supply chains are just wrecked
That's transitory.
That's just transitory. Yeah, it's just transitory.
This is
but
fine.
No, that's the thing, right? It's
fine.
like, yeah, I have a harder time getting other stuff than ASICs right now, actually, because all the checks it, right, as it's been called before, the Chinese exodus of miners, there's been a fair amount on the market. I think Compass, I don't know if I imagine that their delay in miners isn't a delay in getting the hardware. It's probably a delay in finding rack space.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
That'd be my guess.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both, because some of the customers were paying that paid up front, or paying that, like the cost of that ASIC is like double right now. So I think that's, I don't want to sound conspiratorial, but I think that might be.
No, I think it's a matter of like like, because it's a hosting contract, right? Because like I purchased a miner from Compass, but it was one of their like at home mining, right? Like, so they send me the computer and they send it to me in like 3 days. Seriously. But I think like if you do a mining contract with them, that might be delayed, because that's not just like, they don't just have to have the computer, they need the rack space and the power contract, right, to electrify that computer. And so I think that takes like more back end, contracts and discussions and things, right? And so
Yeah,
I mean, really
that makes sense.
what a hosting company is they're a power broker, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys have thought about this, right? I mean, like, that's really what a hosting company does, is they find a whole bunch of individuals all over the United States or world that want to buy power cheap, and they find some, one person somewhere in the United States with cheap power that they can produce, and they want to sell it, and they marry the two through this mechanism of Bitcoin mining. And so that's really, I mean, it's a power broker relationship, and it's, these power contracts are really, really, they take a long time to develop, a long time to negotiate. They end up usually having kind of, insane amounts of circumstances and fine print all registered throughout them. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's not something that happens. I mean, you don't get a gigawatt or 500 megawatts of power overnight. Like, that shit just doesn't just turn on.
Is there anybody out there that's writing boilerplate for these contracts? Or any little law offices? Are there any, or is it
I
kind
have
of
no idea. It's a great question. I imagine there's some people that are on the cutting edge or the bleeding edge of that. I imagine they're, working on behalf of companies like Compass and anybody else that's doing any kind of hosting.
Yeah, it just sounds like a big friction piece, like to have Upstream Data to go run through that, or somebody,
Well, that's kind of what I mean is, in terms of, my tweet that Yellow reference, and what I mean by it's going to be so influential and so big, the Bitcoin mining industry is, I don't just mean the Bitcoin mining industry. I mean, like, all the ancillary and, things that are going to develop around it. Companies like Upstream Data, right? We're really an infrastructure, supply company, right? We supply tools for the oil field. Like, we're not a Bitcoin company. We're much more of an oil and gas Bitcoin focused company. And so, like, we're one of those ancillary companies, service companies that's sprouted up around the Bitcoin industry. And I think there's going to be legal, there's going to be insurance, there's going to be financing. Unchained Capital is going to probably, I would imagine, look into how they could help finance oil and gas producers, have them deposit their incoming mining revenue, and they could give them a, 70% loan to value, cash on hand to go expand their business and scale up and shit. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things that can take place. There's a lot of deals that can be made, and kind of support to the industry, support to the miners, support to the oil and gas producers, in the same way that the oil and gas industry isn't just guys drilling holes and selling oil. This is, there's tons of oil and gas service companies and guys providing all the materials, and I mean, staffing companies, for guys to go work up in North Dakota for 6 months. And, it's just, you almost can't even, I almost can't quantify and even probably consider all the different fucking businesses that are going to rise around this, right? I mean, think about, once these machines are where they're at now, $12,000 a piece, it makes sense to spend $1,000 paying somebody to refurbish your ASIC, like, instead of going to buy a new one, where that was kind of like, traditionally, that was fucking like unheard of. Like, if your S9 broke, you threw it out the fucking window, you got another one, you plugged it in, like, you moved on with your life. You didn't spend time trying to fix the old S9. Like, now, actually, like, we're getting to a point where we might want to spend some money refabbing these things and cleaning them and replacing hash boards and fans. Yeah, it's gonna mature, right? And then then let's just talk over to the chip production side, right? I mean, what's already the value of chip production, the chip production industry in terms of SHA-256? How's that going to grow? I mean, it's going to get crazy. But the bottom line is Bitcoin price needs to justify it, right? We need a freaking $1 million Bitcoin price, otherwise none of this shit's going to happen, because there's not enough money to be made.
How do you come to that valuation as a necessary point?
Well, right now, I mean, honestly, it's really more like 500,000, I think, is where I think it'll happen. I'm just being conservative.
So you're blowing smoke up my ass is what you're doing.
I'm being conservative. I'm lowballing you. I'm lowballing you.
That's what we're talking about.
And so, yeah, December. And so, the reason is because these guys run some like basic algebra numbers, right? Like, things like, hey, there's 2 million Bitcoin left to be mined. They're each only worth 66 grand, which only is hilarious, but like, that's $130 billion over the next 112 years. Like, that's not, I mean, who's going to go spend $20 billion to mine? There's only $130 billion of potential kind of new Bitcoin to be mined.
Are they not factoring in mining fees?
The price?
No, the fees.
Well, the fees are a part of it. Right? You can look at fees, but they're you know, like right now they're what, maybe 10 million stats a block. It's not huge. It's marginal. But really what they should be factoring is Bitcoin's future price, because that's where this has an infinite market capacity, because Bitcoin's price can move. And that's where I say, if it's 130 billion today, well, if we get a 10x from here, we see a $650,000 price. Well, now we're talking about like a $1.1 trillion market potential, right? Like that makes guys spend billions of dollars. Like they run those numbers really quickly and they go, you know, Bitcoin mining needs to be that attractive. There is that much gas, right? Like, so like right now, if you looked at the United States, if all this flare gas, all this stranded gas started, like, you know, turned on tomorrow and was mining Bitcoin, nobody would make any money. Nobody would be profitable on the network, because there'd be just such an oversaturation of competition. So we need the price, you know,
don't you think that kind of investment, if we get there, has to be combined with like more regulatory clarity for them to invest, or no?
I think, I don't know. I mean, it's either regulatory clarity or educational clarity, because I think if anybody that understands Bitcoin well enough, they understand it can't really be regulated to that degree. Now, obviously, these bigger oil and gas companies, they have so much red tape, they're not going to come in until there's, you know, clear regulatory. Exactly. So that is a huge part. But there's still a ton of room for a lot of oil and gas producers who don't care about the regulatory clarity, because they're doing this on a pretty low key, you know, 0.5 megawatt per site kind of a scale. They're not raising many eyebrows at all, right? It's not like, they're not like a massive, you know, publicly traded oil and gas company.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, but you're right. Regulatory clarity it's an issue right now, right? Honestly, and tax clarity. Like, how do you report Bitcoin mining earning? Like, there's no tax guidance on that, right? Like, I mean, but these guys need it, right? These guys definitely need tax guidance and shit, because otherwise they're like, you know, I mean, most of them, like, I think most of them start off probably liquidating most of their Bitcoin that they mine. I would say most all of it. But then I imagine Bitcoin trains them, because like we had customers in 2020 that, I mean, I imagine they sold all 2020, and then when 2021 came around and price went crazy, they probably kicked themselves. They probably got in a meeting and were like, hey, maybe we should only sell half, or, you know, 25% this time. Like, you know, like, I think they'll start to learn, they'll start to optimize and become bullish. I mean, these are really smart people, like, and a lot of them are quite young, right? There's quite a lot of, I'd say 25 to 40-year-old, you know, petroleum engineer professionals that are like way open to something like Bitcoin and fed up with the nonsense.
What companies do they work for? And where do you...
Nice try.
Yeah.
Shut up,
the
Pedro.
good ones.
The good ones.
They work for the good ones.
They work for the good ones.
Or do you mean what countries do they work?
He never says. Like, even in group chats, like he doesn't say anything more.
No, I can't. I mean, you know, I love my job way too much, right?
Yeah.
Let's just get stitches.
It's too good.
Let's just get stitches around here.
Yeah, no shit, right? No, plus it's too much fun, right? It's like, it's kind of fun to have these low-key discussions with really, really serious oil and gas producers and talk about Bitcoin. Like, to be in on that call is like, I would pay to be in on that call if I had to. Like, I would.
Seriously,
just because it's so interesting.
We'll pay to be on those calls.
Yeah, I know, that's what I mean. Like, it's so damn fun just to like kind of be on the sidelines while, like, I mean, I'm not really a, you know, huge player myself, right? Like, I'm
history.
I'm helping build. Yeah, I'm helping.
You're part of history.
Really cool shit. Yeah, I am a little part, right?
You're sitting in Independence Hall, and they're writing the Constitution and the Declaration.
In many ways, yeah.
He wanted to say,
right.
So I said it. It's history, man. You're right.
It is history. You're right.
You are leading a forefront, like trailblazing something that's never been done before.
That's true. I mean, certainly Steve Barber was the one to catch all, like, he caught the brunt of all the shit. Like, he got the biggest laughs. And you got to imagine too, this was like, you got to imagine from his perspective, he was a petroleum engineer. You know, he went to, like, I think he had to go to school for, like, you have to do 4, but he ended up doing like 6. You know, he did some extra, like, apprenticeship years or something, and to get his petroleum license, like, to be an actual licensed petroleum engineer in Canada. And, like, to be that guy that's like in the oil and gas industry, and to be the first one to start, like, going around and be like, hey, I think you guys should mine Bitcoin. Like, he got the most, you know, the weirdest looks, the certainly, like, took the biggest hit to his own personal reputation by sticking his neck out there for this weird magic internet money thing. Like I felt a little bit of it certainly coming in 2018, but he was doing this 2016. So I got to imagine these oil and gas guys were just really laughing. Like the Bitcoin was in the hundreds of dollars, right? It was a joke. And so,
Dude, I got a question for you.
Time tells.
So everyone goes down the Bitcoin rabbit hole in their own way. And obviously you've gone down the mining rabbit hole. And, my question is, how your process of going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, was it like straight into mining, or were you like, okay, I'm going into Bitcoin from some other angle, and then your mind got opened up to mining? Like, how did you kind of go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole itself?
That's a good question. I mean, it's weird. I did focus, I remember when I got interested, I had heard about it years before I got interested to go do some research. And, a buddy had told me about it and I didn't do shit with the information. And when I finally got interested about it, the first place I went was mining, only because I figured that's where the scam existed, right? I just figured that's if this Bitcoin thing was, a Ponzi or some type of a scam, whoever was producing it was probably the guys that were scamming everybody. And so I wanted to go figure out how the scam worked, right? How this thing got produced. And so I could figure out how they were pulling the wool over people's eyes. And then when I learned about how Bitcoin was mined, I was like, holy shit, you can't rig this game. This is an unriggable game. This is I know this. I was working in oil and gas. I had a good understanding of thermodynamic law and how, a unit of energy, like a barrel of oil or a kilowatt hour, that's universal. You can't fake that. And so that I had an eye-opening moment where I was just like, holy shit, I thought this thing was gonna be a scam. And I think I just found an energy market. I think that's what this is, a fucking energy market. That's how I saw it. I was like, holy shit. And so then I immediately thought of all the guys that I was, doing reports for, and they had hundreds of thousands of cubic feet of gas that they were burning every day. And I was like, I wonder what generating power would look like. How much could it cost? What kind of money do you make mining Bitcoin? And that's, what led me down the whole domino effect. When I found the numbers, I was like, holy shit, these guys are gonna, I thought they were gonna wake up next month. I thought there was gonna be a Bloomberg article. But it took more like 2 years, and Bitcoin had to quadruple before they started really kind of looking at it. They laughed for a while, but it started there. I will say this, it kept me away from a lot of shit coins. Because when I discovered proof of stake, I was like, well, that's stupid as shit. That doesn't make any sense. That's an obvious scam. Why would anybody buy this? And then obviously everyone's buying the shit. And so it did keep me from that. I will say though, it did lead me down the path of I thought Litecoin might have some value as a test net for Bitcoin at one point in time.
Same.
I kind of went there because it was a script miner.
To be honest, it did for a while. It did for a while.
I think it kind of did service that for a minute.
It did for a while.
And then obviously it just kind of became another affinity token to speculate on. It's
exactly.
Will it end up being the silver to Bitcoin's gold? I highly doubt it. I don't think that Litecoin mining will ever be distributed like Bitcoin is. I don't think Litecoin nodes will ever be distributed the way Bitcoin nodes are. Nobody will adopt it. There's just a matter of kind of pragmatism there. But again, I'm not going to own that shit. I mean, it's pretty easy to see that these are just affinity scams at this point. There's not even really any development on these fucking networks. So it's what are you doing?
Yeah. The only positive thing about Lightning coin mining still is that they can sell the graphic cards for gamers. Still, kinda.
I thought they had ASICs though, because I mean, I flipped some Litecoin ASICs back in 2018. I made some killer money with the L3s, just buying and selling them, buying them low and selling them high on eBay and shit.
Yeah,
that was the way I stacked sats back in the early days. I would flip ASICs on eBay.
Can we talk a little bit about?
Well, Labra has a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, we got Marcus in the room now too. Look, we got the whole crew.
No.
No.
Some of it.
Good morning. Good morning.
Can you hear me, guys? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I have a question for.
Are those miners in the background, Labro?
Yeah.
Some miners buzzing.
Is it annoying? Yeah.
Yes,
Adam,
it
look,
is annoying, Labra.
I have a question, Adam, for you.
Yeah.
So I'm working
Shoot, man.
with these miners here on the you see on the picture. One is not working. I updated grinder.
Here, zoom in on the one that's not working. Let me take a look at it.
It's the one in the middle.
Out.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
the
trying to
green one.
restart it, but yeah, it's not working. Do you think it's the grinder app?
No, I think it's the grind. You gotta update the grinder app, and then did you put Astroglide dual mining purpose fluid on it?
I barked to it like for 40 minutes. I don't know if that works.
Okay. Well, next time
Okay, let me
when you
try.
bark at it, put the Astroglide fluid on there and see if that helps.
Okay, let me try something here.
Maybe pee on it. Maybe pee on it.
Now it's on. Now it's on. Thank you. I'll mute myself.
Nice
I
job.
can't take you guys seriously. Too much fucking fun.
That's why it's a test. It's a test stream. They're all test
That's
streams.
true, man.
They're all
Marcus, what's
test
up?
streams. Yeah.
All right, so I've got an important one. If you were an oil and gas company thinking about investing in Bitcoin, which one would you be?
Apple.
I'd say Samsung. Samsung would be the one that I'd
Okay.
probably go with.
Okay.
Yeah, Samsung. Man, you're good. You're good, Greg.
Nice.
Greg's dog got some.
Here's an age-old question: does price follow hash rate, or does hash rate follow price? Which one leads? Which
That's a
one,
great
in your
question.
opinion? With your,
I like to say hash rate is price, but
Fighting words.
yeah, fighting words though, because the way I look at it is hash rate is what really shows true demand, right? Because the demand to bring hash rate on the network is far greater than the demand to buy Bitcoin and speculate on it, because you actually have to like buy hardware and like plug it the fuck in, and like there's this time factor. Like with buying Bitcoin, you can, like with Strike, man, it's like 2 seconds you can get exposure to Bitcoin, and so
not
like I
everywhere
look
yet.
at hash rate.
Not everywhere yet.
Except for in Europe. Of course
Shut
not.
up.
No, but like with mining, like I mean, it's like I'd say that's a real measure of demand. That's I look at that as demand of energy demand that has no home, energy that has no market, and so it's trying to find its way to Bitcoin. And what I think is like we're going to see hash rate try to grow for the next. I mean, like right now, the S19 Pro is earning 55 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay, it's fucking insane. Okay, you could mine in Hawaii on the grid just fine. You're going to earn even like 25 cents per kilowatt hour in Hawaii. Like that's disequilibrium. In other words, there should be more people mining Bitcoin, but there's not right now, because people are trying to figure out these power contracts and find a place to put these thousands of machines, right? So for every exahash, you have to remember, every exahash of computational power on the network is anywhere from 35 to 50 megawatts of continuous power, right? Potentially more, right? Potentially even higher if we're talking about using S9.
So who's got that kind of power to put to work?
Exactly, right?
What kind of oil and gas companies?
The ones with more than 20 wells typically could probably put to work like
The big four.
a couple megawatts
The
at
big
least.
four. The
Which-
big 4 or 5.
Which
The
one?
big
Of,
20.
which of those companies have young executives that are into Bitcoin?
All of them. All of them at this point. Bitcoin's 65 grand. Everyone's interested. Right?
Let's redirect the conversation to this. Like, do you think the signal from Tesla is gonna happen soon, that they're gonna start accepting Bitcoin again? Meaning,
Oh, fuck
is
Tesla.
it? Yeah, okay, fuck Tesla, but like, is a signal that the clean power used over 51% that Elon said, like, is it coming soon?
I mean,
you think?
okay, all of a sudden, like Tesla is the arbiter of whether or not fucking Bitcoin is green. I mean, fuck that.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm with you in the fact of like that actually might be the world we're living in today, where like when Tesla starts accepting it, everybody's just like, oh well, no, it's green now again. Like even Tesla, accepting it. Like it becomes the barometer for whether or not it's the signal for whether or not it's virtuous and moral enough of energy consumption. I mean, what a load of shit. Bitcoin is absolutely some of the most virtuous energy consumption.
But did Elon Musk say that because he knew that China was going to ban it, and China is where he sells like 2/3 of cars? Like,
well, that's where he has a lot of market to grow too, right? He's got a lot of growth capacity. Like in the US, he's already touched, like pretty much the market, right? In Tesla, he's got a ton of market growth left, and that's where your stock pumps, and that's where he gets his bonuses. And so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's plenty to be said there.
So you think that's
but Yellow, I'm with you. I think that actually in a weird, really sad fucking reality, that's kind of a barometer, right? Like for the mainstream thinker, like if Tesla accepts it, oh well, Bitcoin must be green again. Like as shitty as it is, I mean, I don't even think retail is here yet with this pump. Like this run up here to 60. This isn't retail. This is like institutional buying. This isn't like retail money. Doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like mania to me. And it feels still early, right?
Speaking of Tesla being the arbiter of green energy for Bitcoin, that being bullshit, I've heard you say before that oil and gas producers are better stewards of the environment than a lot of people give them credit for, and I just want to give you a couple minutes to riff on that because it doesn't get talked about.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, you got to remember, like, one thing to consider is what kind of value return per dollar invested do you get out of oil and gas, right? If you look at like what a barrel of oil provides, it provides a lot. Like I look around my house, I look around my, just where my office is here, and like I don't think anything would be here, including the clothes on my body, unless it was for economic and abundant electricity, as well as economic and abundant fuel, right? I mean, if we're going to talk about like even the dog food at the grocery store, like I wouldn't be able to go pick up a bag of dog food for $20 if it didn't cost them like almost nothing to get it to that store, right? And that's a product of fossil fuels. That's a product of, I mean, like what did it cost to manufacture the dog food and bag it in like the automation facility? What electricity does that facility run on? I guarantee you it's natural gas and coal, at least 75+%. And so like pretty much every luxury we have in our life is a product of fossil fuels, of hydrocarbons, whether it be coal or natural gas or petroleum. And so, these are incredibly regulated industries. Like let me put it this way: immersion mining in the oil field is a big problem. Like guys are looking at doing immersion mining in the oil field because, especially like Texas, it's really hot. But one of the issues is
you can tell them about our sponsor.
Yeah. Oh no. Of course. Yeah. I will. The dialect. Yeah. Of course. Astroglide is top of my list, top of my mind. But the you look at doing immersion, and it's like if you have one drop of that dielectric fluid hit the ground, now that's a chemical spill. That's a reportable incident. You're an oil producer. You're gonna get shut down for 60 days and investigated. You're gonna lose your fucking insurance. Like the idea of immersion mining in the oil field, as good as it sounds, like there's a lot of impracticalities to it because of things like how regulated they are, right? So, they already jump through so many hoops, like literally times when, a regulator will come on site in the oil field and literally there'll be like a 4-foot cord running from, a generator to a building, and it's running on the ground. And they'll walk up and they'll be like, that's a tripping hazard. Like, either get that fixed in the next 20 days or we're going to shut you down. It's like, dude, it's nobody walks there. Like, what are you talking to? Like, so you literally have to like get a guy out there, an electrician out there, spend $1,000 to have him build a little fucking thing. So like nobody can, it's just, like they're way over regulated at this point, and their impact on the environment, my God, the hoops they jump through to mitigate it. Yeah. And the value they provide, shit, like the vilification of the oil and gas industry. I have no time for it.
Well, I want to rein this back in a little more, so maybe I need to dive deeper into the question. So, not so much that they're making sure that the energy they produce is clean, but you've said that they're better stewards of the environment. So, like, what are they actively doing to produce a nice environment for us to live in, outside of the energy production and the regulation?
Especially if you look at like what they do with water, right? So, fracking water is one of the biggest issues, right? In terms of the briny kind of salt water. And so water disposal and treatment is like a huge hoop and usually a massive cost that fracking operations go through. And it usually ends up being, I mean, like they buy acres of land just to deal with their water, right? Like, and just do it in a way in which is to regulatory spec and so that they're not, you know, disturbing groundwater in the area and things like that. I mean, there's, you know, plus these are geologists, right? Like these are geologists that before they drill and before they frack, like they take an oath to like do no harm, right? To cause no undue harm to society and to, you know, to not, you know, to not frack or to drill into formations that will have any kind of geological, you know, impact or impact on the surrounding communities. Like these guys take like vows and have to renew their, you know, their licenses and things. Like these are serious individuals, serious professionals that they're not just out there like, yeah, we're, you know, oh, well, fuck it, we're just going to blow a hole in it and get rich. Like, I mean, that's not these guys' mentality, right? They're really, I mean, these are very serious professionals, very serious engineers that are looking to take serious risk because the reward is great. And so, you know, I think that people just have this like cartoonish idea of the oil and gas industry. Like they're just like spraying black oil all over the place. And like, you know, I don't know, it's like this almost comical perspective, right? This comical idea of who these people are. You don't realize like they're pretty average, you know, human beings, right? Like they're not looking to destroy the earth. That's not their goal.
And on another note, like you see countries like El Salvador. Yellow's mad right now because I'm doing before strike Europe memes right now.
I said another note, man.
Also,
I'm doing before strike Europe memes right now.
So no, I was saying, like, you see countries like El Salvador and they're out there here mining with volcanic energy. I kind of have a two-part question. First of all, is that even like, you know, we all hear about it and we're talking about it, oh, it's awesome that they're doing that. Is that even like realistic? Are they even mining any significant amount of Bitcoin? Which which Pedro obviously would tell us any Bitcoin that you mine is significant. So I believe that.
I'd say like geothermal wells, like geothermal facilities definitely have the ability to produce shitloads of power. And so, yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't know how much of that power they're dedicating to Bitcoin mining, right? So they could just be siphoning off a very small piece of it, you know, like maybe they're, you know, slowly scaling more and more or whatever. But like, from what I understand, geothermal wells can produce shitloads of power potentially, like geothermal facilities. And they look like they have a pretty fucking serious facility as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So. And then also, what about like, I've been thinking, you know, what about nuclear powered mining? Would we think that will eventually take over?
Yeah, that'll be the state, right? That's how the state will come in. That's how the state will mine. They'll mine with nuclear. I mean, they'll start probably looking at like solar and wind because the state's virtuous and they have endless money. So they can do that. But like, if they end up actually getting to the point where they want to be serious about mining Bitcoin, like they want to compete on the global stage, taking Bitcoin, you know, again, Bitcoin has to be multi-million-dollar price, right? To probably command such an incentive. But that's when because like I don't see nuclear. Maybe I'm narrow-minded or something. I love nuclear, by the way. I mean, it's the greatest, right? It's absolutely certainly the greenest, most viable power source.
To me, it seems like the only way to get the state energy, right?
Yeah, but the state has to be involved at this point. Yeah. Like you can't go privately fund nuclear. Like you just fucking can't get uranium or like whatever the rare earth, you know, freaking compounds are.
Here's my dream. Here's my dream. There's so much sitting out there that's not tapped right. I don't know if you guys know about the U.S.
There's so much idle.
The mothball Navy fleet, right? So you got nuclear powered aircraft carriers and submarines sitting idle. You don't have to build new plants. The government can just turn the ships on and throw a bunch of miners in there with a Blockstream satellite connection, and you now have miners going.
So let me add on to that. Russia, right? I mean, we just had Putin come in as well.
Yeah. So you're saying that there's gonna be a guy like with the headphones in the deck of the air carrier, like doing the signal, like come in. Yeah, exactly. But it's gonna be filled with miners.
They're still going to land
Yep.
planes. It's going to be cargo planes full of ASICs, right?
Yes.
But like, no, I mean, that's the thing. I honestly, you're right, Greg, in the sense like there's shitloads of nuclear power infrastructure out there that's it's getting shut down right now. Like there's this European like nuclear decommissioning commission. Like literally, it's a fucking commission to their job is to go out and make sure to decommission like 1,000 to 1,500 small nuclear plants around Europe by the year 2040 or some shit. Like literally, they're actively going out and decommissioning nuclear for some unknown fucking reason, right? I mean, it's like obviously.
Why not just put a nuclear plant out in space, and that way, if anything ever happens, you know, then it doesn't matter.
It's the transporting the electricity part, right? You got to get the power to the wall. You know, that's the issue.
Yeah.
That's why like a whole bunch of little nuclear plant, like nuclear, by the way, really only makes, I mean, nuclear makes sense certainly for like urban populations. Like what's so cool, like Denver, you have a nuclear plant, power all of fucking Denver with the nuclear plant. If you're outside of the city, like then you're on some natural gas power or some whatever, right? And then like the nuclear plant pretty much takes care of all, you know, population dense demand. But then there's plenty of infrastructure and other resources for all this like rural power generation until the nuclear facility, until it's economic enough to build an even smaller one, you know, in the rural areas. Like that's the idea of how the technology should be developing.
Well, that's what Oklo is doing, right?
They fucked it all up, huh?
That's what Oklo is doing, right?
Oklo. I'm not sure of Oklo. I don't know.
Oklo is a company putting together very small nuclear reactors for.
Is that like Ligma?
It's not like Matu or Ligma or Candace, but Oklo. It's a company that's putting together small nuclear reactors. They're partnering with some, I think, Compass Mining, but I don't know more about that.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, so I honestly,
the whole European thing was driven by the whole Fukushima accident, right?
Well, by the way, to my point, like to my point, I Google Oklo and immediately I get a fucking .gov website because obviously these guys are going to be super tied in with regulators, right? Because they're nuclear. So that you can't do nuclear without literally being like, not just in bed, but inside of the regulators. Okay. Like you need to be so in bed with them. You got to get them rich. It's a crony fucking game. You know, it's antithetical to Bitcoin. So I mean, it's one of those things where for me, I'm like, shit, I know of so much natural gas. Like I don't even need to go to nuclear until, you know, probably 50 years. Oh, there you go. Yeah, well, that's good.
Well, Labra's the best at getting in bed. He just hops in there at midnight when his owner doesn't know it.
There was a question on the chat. If we feed Greg with a lot of Taco Bell, do you think we can produce enough gas to power miners? And how many kilowatt hours can that produce?
Well, honestly, I mean, it depends upon the Taco Bell deal, how economic. You know, what's our taco consumption per hour? That's
a lot.
You're going to look at the
Look at the
it's a lot. Look at the input versus right. I mean, yeah, it sounds like we're going to need a lot of fuel, and you know, fuel comes with cost. So,
okay,
yeah,
thank you.
You mentioned earlier.
Hey, Greg, I'll DM you, Greg.
Thank you. You mentioned earlier that like a small Astroglide spill at a mining facility would like shut it down because of the insurance concerns.
Essentially, yeah.
And is insurance something that's keeping a lot of these miners from, or a lot of these, not miners, a lot of these oil and gas wells and producers from bringing Bitcoin onto their sites?
I'd say it's insurance and financing. Those two things are like keeping it from really taking off and scaling. Because one, it's really hard to finance ASICs because of their volatility, right? Like nobody wants to fucking finance these things. Like literally the only ways that people have come up with ways in which to kind of finance an ASIC is something kind of like the Compass model, like where it's like, hey, you put a down payment, it's going to be kind of like this hosting, but you also own the hardware. And then, you know, like, because it's such a volatile game, it's really a hard thing to participate in that risk. And same thing with insurance. Like what if you insure these machines? When I started mining with S9s, I bought them for $90 a pop. Like they're worth $550 today. Like my insurance company would absolutely freak, right? They, you know, like if I was paying some rate for a $90 machine, it's appreciated 500%. And so like, it's just so early that it's tough. Like these guys are not ready to take that risk. And so, yeah, it's definitely keeping it from really taking off. A lot of guys are small enough and they're starting at small enough scales that they're willing to take, you know, $40,000 worth of risk without insurance. Like it's not a big, you know, it's not insane to them. They take risk in the oil field, which is probably greater. But when they want to get to multi-million-dollar and stuff, yeah, they're going to need to have insurance, right? They can't have a storm blow through and destroy, like a tornado freaking rip up their shit and have it be $10 million of computers that gets destroyed and they're not insured. Like, they can't have that happen. And so, it's going to be tough. It's we're going to need to see insurance companies step up and try to capture that market. We're going to need to see financiers come in and try to, like guys like Unchained Capital, try to give some, even guys like Compass Mining try to give some financing options to oil and gas guys so that they can get comfortable getting ASICs without, fronting insane amounts of money. It's like all this, everyone's figuring out how to share risk in this game right now. It's still like we're all kind of figuring out what's worthwhile.
Labra, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, bro.
Labra. Yeah, I'm outside, man. Like, can you fix that miner? We're losing money.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay. Also, get the gun. There's a bear here for some reason. I don't know why.
Get the gun.
I thought all the bears died in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Pretty sure the bears are dead.
Pretty sure we killed them.
They're all off Twitter. It's beautiful.
For Plan Marcus is the biggest bear out there.
No. There's bigger bears out there than Marcus. Marcus probably just calls. What do you call it? $1 million price, Marcus? These guys calling you a bear?
And Marcus is the ultimate moon juice.
Marcus.
That's like saying a huddle not's a fucking bear.
It's just Sean has a short time preference. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it's kind of like fuck me already, Bitcoin. Like we're sitting here at 65 grand. Like, let's just do it.
Speaking of which, all sideways action from here on out is John Vallis's fault. Period.
Oh, 100%. No,
yeah.
I mean, we already established this early on. I mean, John Vallis will take all blame
until
we get to 100K.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
but he's going to get a whole bunch of credit once we get there. And so, like,
yeah,
it's give and take.
Trade-offs
in life.
Trade-offs
in life.
Yeah.
Jeez, Jinx. Over here. Are you double fisting right now, Denver? Is that a double fist?
It's a solo. It's a red solo cup, is what it is. All right, so Artie's not here to ask the question. Like, retweet, mute members of the Meme Factory.
I mean, I pretty much like you all. That's what's upsetting. You've all made me laugh out loud at multiple points in my life, just via a freaking phone screen, which is hilarious. I would never mute Yellow just because I think his tangents only grow better and better every time. And like the longer they go, they seem to just never plateau. I mute Labra only because he's, just wants to bark in on the conversation too much, but I wouldn't mute him very much. And then
Thank you.
And then I'd say in terms of Big Sean, see Big Sean has got the most ruthless memes of them all. Like, he might not hit gold, just like bang, 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 but then every now and then there's one that's just so savage.
They are savage.
He published it. Especially the ones that we send in our private groups that don't get published to the world. Those ones are the absolute best. Yeah, sometimes I I share those with my brother. My brother's like, who the fuck are these people? Who are these people And I'm like, they're the funniest people on earth. That's who I'm hanging out with. Like these are the freaking Thomas Jeffersons of our day. Like, that's literally, the freaking sitting in a tavern thinking about, revolting against a government like the British. Like, that would be such an insane concept. You'd have to be drunk and high to even think about fighting against the British at that point in time. And the American founding fathers had some pretty big stones to sit there and finally be fed up to the point where they're like, this is bullshit. Like, we're actually gonna go and just we're either gonna die or be free now. Like, we're not living like this anymore. I feel like Bitcoiners were getting those were savage people. Like, those revolutionaries were not timid. Like, they might have been meek, but they were not.
Yeah, fuck you, RD, and your flags.
Yeah, and Mike.
and Mike.
Yeah, fuck you, RD, and Mike. Fuck you.
Exactly, right? I mean, it's like but that's the message, right? Memes win the day. I mean, like, just look at Elon Musk, look at freaking Wall Street bets. Like, memes are weirdly powerful. They're the printing press of our day.
Yeah, throwing all that tea in the Boston Harbor. That was
exactly.
that was their way of memeing back in the day.
Exactly. That was their way of burning the motherfucker down, right? That was their way of saying F you to the system. Was open and like just absolute blatant disrespect for your authority. We will completely and absolutely subvert your authority with Bitcoin. And we'll do it non-violently, right? But we were going to subvert your authority day after day because we don't acknowledge it.
And all we have to do is huddle.
That's it.
Yeah.
And stack.
That's it. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, could you imagine could you imagine thinking of yourself like, I have the authority to print the US dollar. Like, I solely am endowed with the intelligence required and, the nomination due to control the world economy. Like, could you imagine having such a fucking ego? Like, what you must think of yourself, these guys, like, unbelievable. Like, I can't believe they even exist. I can't believe anybody would want to be like in that position. Like, what a terrible place to be. So it's just pure tyranny. Like, you are the number one hated person because you're the one robbing everyone. You're robbing the world. Like, they just haven't figured it out yet.
That Cantillon fountain though is it's pretty tempting.
It's juicy. Yeah, it's juicy. You only got to like step into it for like, a couple of months. And you get rich enough that you can just fine for the rest of your life. You get like one deal with these crony guys and you're good to go.
Last question.
Messed up,
I think. Are you seeing like more of like a lobbying effort being formed, especially with miners in the USA? Is like any traction there? Because we're talking about politics now, and we know that until we reach hyper Bitcoinization, that system that we live on needs lobbies. So
I'd say there's some pretty big US presence, right? There's the Riot blockchain, Marathon, Hut 8, like big miners in the US that have like physical infrastructure here that have a significant incentive to go lobby. From what I understand, I think they're attempting to some degree. I'm not really involved in that. And then I know some other Bitcoiners that are, trying to go lobby. I personally am so disgusted with politicians. Like, I just can't bring myself to donate money to something like that. Like, as much as I want Bitcoin to be properly regulated and appropriately, maybe regulated or whatever the language around it. I'm just so disgusted. Like, I can't even think about putting my money there. I could maybe lend my voice. Like, I would be willing to record a testimony to show to, a senator or something that would give my point of view in the oil and gas industry, things like that. But like I have a hard time feeding that system, as much as I recognize you're right. Like, we do kind of have to lobby. There's, this is the world we live in, but I think it's happening. Like, cause this is the thing. It's already, there's so much money involved. Like, these guys, Marathon, Riot, Hut 8, like these big mining companies, they're not gonna not go participate in Washington. Like, they're absolutely, they have a shitload on the line. And so they're definitely gonna go participate in Washington and try to get, they're probably even going to try to get some type of, regulatory advantage to some degree or not. I mean, there's a lot of Bitcoin miners that'll be subsidized, right? That's just a fact. There'll be Bitcoin miners mining with solar or wind. They're going to be taking in taxpayer dollars in the form of carbon credits to mine Bitcoin. Guys that are, mitigating their natural gas in the oil field, a lot of them are going to get carbon credits to mine Bitcoin. Like, it's going to become a subsidized game. It's going to become a wonky game. You better have cheap power, or you better just want the sats.
It's guerrilla warfare for sure from now on, I think.
Kind of is.
What
right?
about a couple of days or a couple of weeks ago? I think there was some event in Dubai, I believe, and I think Hut 8 was there with Roger Ver and people like Nouriel Rubini. I was like, what kind of a club is this? Like, what's going on?
It was weird. I know. Like, I think Compass Mining was there though too. Right. I think at least some of the people from Compass Mining were there, and some of the Galaxy Digital people were there, I think. I don't know. It's good. I mean, it's bizarre. Like, I would be, it's going to get weird. it's gonna get weird, right? You know, it's also gonna get weird because there's all these guys that were like early to Bitcoin. They're like kind of the Bitcoin OGs of yesteryear, if you will. Like the Roger Veres, the guys that have kind of like fallen into bad standing with the community because they put a full-on attack on the network and tried to own it as their own. Like they're still really wealthy and their net worth goes up with Bitcoin too. Like these guys are Bitcoiners though. They probably hold a lot of Bitcoin. Like I imagine Roger Vere's probably gonna become, he's probably gonna start mining. Like now that mining's sexy, hey, scammers follow wherever they can fucking sell a story and make money. And right now mining is the hottest topic in the game. And so like I'm constantly talking to people that are dealing with fucking shysters that are trying to, sell computers that don't exist. Or selling stuff like I know a lot of guys are trying to sell S17s because they're shit, and they're trying to sell them to people that have no idea that the S17s are shit. They just think that like they work just as good as all the other ones, and so like I have to keep like these guys, all these oil and gas guys keep calling me. And they're like, yeah, but I think we found somebody that's going to be able to get us S17s, and I'm like, no, like you're not going to want to deploy those. They're not going to work. You're going to have a nightmare. Like you're buying bad machines. They don't know though, right? They're ignorant. So.
Yeah, I got another question for you, and this is on a different topic. The last guy I asked this to, he was married, GG, and I didn't know that. So,
all right. So, I'm not married, so if that helps.
Okay, it does help because neither am I. So I saw you posted a nice steak and proof of Bob's the other day.
Proof of Bob's, huh?
Yes. And I just had a question. When you go on a first date, like you're unplugged from like normie speak, right? So when you go on a first date, what are you talking about? What are you talking about on that first date?
Well, the good news in these circumstances is I was at dinner with a Bitcoiner.
Oh.
So those Bobs were actually, that's a Bitcoiner that's been in Bitcoin longer than I have.
Oh, big.
So we talked about Bitcoin and oil and gas and mining and
she got a big old stack, huh?
I imagine so.
God damn it, Sean.
I am Denver Bitcoin now.
I am Denver Bitcoin now.
Well,
no, she's already a Bitcoiner, so I lucked out in that regard. But I will say it's tough. I mean, that's part of the reason. Like I don't know if I could. It's tough, man. Like I can't do dating apps or anything like that. Like there's no way. Like the women out there, I don't get along with. Like it's like the average woman out there is not at all what I'm looking for. And so, it's like I figure I might as well chase what I like. And so
smart man.
I went after Bitcoiner.
Well, I know what else you like is you're probably gonna like that 2024 halving. It's coming up in about 3 years' time, and we're gonna be hosting that 2024 halving. So it's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be a party.
Can I be there?
And we definitely want to invite you. You're officially invited to our party at 2024 halving.
It's gonna be a marathon.
Yeah, it's gonna be a marathon. Awesome.
I was just looking. For some reason, 2024 halving, I can't remember the block height. Is it 840?
Just add 210.
Yeah, it's 840,000. Yeah, that's right. I was just, for some reason, I was like, wait, did we just hit? Like, I thought we were above 800,000 blocks, but now we're at what,
706 ish.
Yeah,
last time I checked, I think it was supposed to be like sometime in April, but
there was a block clock right behind you.
Might be.
That's got sats. The stat price on there, stats per USD.
It might be in the 4th of May, so it's gonna be.
May the 4th.
Yeah, no. May the 4th be with you.
I bet it's gonna come before anticipated
Strike Europe
time. Yeah, I think definitely before Strike Europe.
2024 having before Strike Europe.
Jack, you hear this shit?
Oh my god. Fucking hilarious. No, I was looking like the what was I fucking? Oh no, I think the hash rate's gonna grow so much that I think our average block time, right, it's not gonna be we're going to see a lot more increases in difficulty than decreases. And so the average block time will be less than 10 minutes. And so I think it'll end up being the halving will be sooner than we think by, a few weeks.
Bullish.
But
Bullish.
it won't be midnight in Moscow yet, right?
Nope.
Ooh, bear. That's a bear take. My book.
Sorry, Sean.
All right. We are coming up on our hour here, so we want to be respectful of your time. I want to say thank you and give you the floor to let anybody here know where they can find you, where they can find about what projects you're working
on. Yeah, so I'm at Denver Bitcoin on Twitter. That's probably a good place to find me or get in touch. You can, I think I might have a link, or you can find me on Coinbase.com. That's where you can connect with me one-on-one if you want to just spend 30 minutes or an hour, asking my advice on mining. And I donate those proceeds. So hit me up on there. I'd say definitely take a look at Upstream Data, follow what they're doing. A lot of cool stuff happening in the oil field. Take a look at Great American Mining. Another great company that's trying to solve this issue of stranded energy and waste energy, and strengthen the Bitcoin network. So I'd say definitely check those guys out. Other than that, follow all these meme tards that keep the message pumping day after day. You guys are the real Bitcoin Twitter that matters. The rest of us just kind of show up there.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate your time, man.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course,
Thanks,
guys.
Adam, for helping
Awesome,
me
man.
fix the miner. Thank you. It's working now.
Oh, absolutely, man. Anytime, you let me know.
Bye, guys.